Hey guys, so today I'm going to cover the newest version of the community patch 4.0.16, but I'll also be covering all the 4.0 changes. So instead of making separate videos for each character like I did in the past, this video will cover all the different character changes, and I'll go over any of the other important changes after. Obviously it won't be everything, but it should give you a good rundown of what to expect, and I will link the full changes if you want to check that out for yourself. And times will also be in the description below if you're only looking for one character or just general changes. If this is your first time seeing the community patch and if you want to download it, I'll link ShadowEvil's guide below, because you have to make some hex changes to your code. It's nothing too big, really simple, and then you can download the patch. And obviously this is only for PC players, not Xbox or PlayStation. So first I have to say thanks to ShadowEvil, From Dark Hell, Jim Raven, Audney, Laxlife, Angrier Pat, Zabubu, B33PB, Joe, Kobe, Empire Scum, Late Chaos Man, Sir Umi, Hydradler, Kazi, Aaron, Dave Rabbit, Mike, Arudrin, and Mega Cyber for all their work on this patch. So wouldn't be possible without them. Huge shout out and thank you so much for all your work. So let's start with the character changes. First we'll go over Axton. His skill Grenader now also boosts grenade damage by 3% per point. His skill Double Up increased the turret slag chance by 50%, which is really great. Overload also now boosts ammo carrying capacity by 3% per point. Last Ditch Effort now also boosts Fight for Your Lifetime by 8% per point, and Phalanx Shield increases the size of your shield by 25%. So obviously not as many changes as in the past. So if you do want to see the 2.0, 3.0 character changes, I have those in previous videos. I'll link all that below for all the characters, not just Axton. So second is Maya. She actually only has 2 skill changes. First is Quicken. It now also boosts weapon swap speed by 6% per point, and her skill Sustenance, which increases health regen, which is up to 0.6% per point instead of 0.4%. Next character is Salvador, but he actually did not get any skill changes. Not like he really needs them, I just thought I'd throw it out there that's why you won't see him in this video. So nothing on Salvador. Then we can transition over to Zero. First, he had fixed optics. Aim steadiness wasn't working properly, so that should be fixed with this patch. His skill One Shot One Kill now appears in the buff bar, which is really nice, so you know when it's about to expire. Grim had the reduced action skill cooldown rate to 2% per point instead of 4%. And Like the Wind no longer increases gun damage / melee damage, it instead adds chance to avoid elemental status effects by 5% per point. Then we can go over to Gaige, who also only had 2 changes. First being from Shock and Awe, it reduced the reload speed to 10% instead of 25%, because 25 did make it really strong and you could spam it and it kind of broke the balance a little bit. Second is Smaller, Lighter, Faster, which increased the reload speed from 6% per point to 8%. So you get the reload speed somewhere else. So it's still possible to get those high numbers. Then we move to the final character, Krieg. It reduced the blinding effect of Silence the Voices, so you can still see if you accidentally hit yourself. Imagine that. Flame Flare now also boosts burn damage resistance by 15% per point. So those are all the character changes. So if you haven't seen the videos before this or want to know all the changes, you can go check out my previous videos on the topic. But now we're going to move into all the general and loot changes. So first, let's talk about the general changes. It added new items to be shown at the loading screens, which is really cool to see, which is something that you really don't notice a lot if you're just so used to playing and if you have a pretty fast system. The loading screens aren't too long. But with that, it also removed the white and green weapons from appearing, so the weapons you see should be higher quality and rares and legendaries. They fixed that a lot of the missions that gave special weapons were made repeatable, which is really nice. Some examples are Hyperion Contract 873 is now repeatable, which gives the Morningstar Sniper Rifle. Walking the Dog from the Torg DLC, which gives the Boom Puppy Assault Rifle, is now repeatable, and Treasure of the Sands, which is the mission that allows you to loot Captain Scarlet's armory or treasure room, is now repeatable, so you can keep farming and keep going and getting that loot, which is a really great way to play it, and Gearbox should have done this from the beginning. Another small general change is that Butt Stallion now only drops blue rare gear or above, which is something else really cool, so now you shouldn't have to put in too much iridium to get special weapons or high quality useful weapons from Butt Stallion. Also, along with the missions, a lot of single character bosses now respawn. First is Bagman, who is the boss who has a chance to drop the pot of gold. Now he can respawn. No Beard also, who's the first fight in the Captain Scarlet DLC, who drops the stink pot, respawns. Rakanoth from Sir Hammerlock's DLC, who drops the Skull Masher, can now be farmed, and Argok the Butcher from the Tiny Tina DLC, who has a chance to drop the Bone Shredder, can now respawn. And there are a ton more, I'll just rapid fire the rest. Benny the Booster, Toothless Terry, Sully the Blacksmith, Axel Tribute of Opportunity, Rose Tribute of Opportunity, and Bling Loader all respawn, and a lot of those didn't have drops in the original or vanilla game, but they've had drops assigned to them in the past, so it is now worthwhile. And I'd recommend you guys go farm them and see what they can drop. Be surprised, see what to expect. And then we'll quickly talk about all the Invincibles, or the raid bosses. So Hyperius the Invincible now has a chance to drop any DLC 1 Seraph item. Master Guy the Invincible was also given the chance to drop any DLC 1 Seraph item. And Pyro Pete has a chance to drop any DLC 2 Seraph item. So small changes, but it does make it more worthwhile to farm the raid bosses if you can get Seraphs and not just the crystals. For a few visual changes, the Chopper, Infection, Cobra, and Interfacer were all given new skins just to make them look more important. They stick out more, which is really great. I don't want to give away what they look like, so you guys should go farm them, go check it out, and see what these new skins look like and experience it. The Morningstar Orc, Grog Nozzle Ogre, and Evil Smasher were all given a special buff that will actually show up in the buff bar above the XP, just to make them a little stronger. It's a nice touch. These weapons, they're not weak, but they can use a little buff. Also, the shotguns, the Slow Hand, Reacher, and Sword Explosion will now always have 3 projectiles regardless of prefix, which makes these so much more useful. Before, you would always have to find one with the ×3 for the 3 projectiles, or it wasn't worth it to use it. So now that all these weapons will always have that, you can kind of now find another prefix that you want to use instead, which makes it nice and gives the players more opportunity to put together different builds and decide what they want to use. So that's all I really want to cover for patch 4.0. As always, I'll link the full log of changes in the description below, but now let's move to patch 4.0.11. All this did was fix an issue with Money Shot's description. It did not change the skill at all. It just made sure that now when you apply the community patch, it will tell you what's actually being done, as in the skill text is fixed and it makes sense. Then we go to 4.0.12. It removed the Vault Hunter Relic buff. In the previous community patch, they tried to buff this to see if it would work or do anything, but the Vault Hunter Relic actually does nothing, so it's pretty much useless, so they just took away the buff because it wasn't worth anything. It also fixed the description for the Sheriff's Badge, which after they made some changes wasn't applying correctly, and all the hotfixes were named as UPC, as an Unofficial Community Patch, to prevent problems with overriding any other mods in the game. So they're looking out for you guys. Great small change, something you might not even notice. Then we move to 4.0.13. It fixed some loot pools, enhanced some previous changes, and worked out some smaller bugs with weapons and skills. Didn't change anything too fundamentally, mostly still just tweaking what they already have in there, making sure it's a flawless experience. Then we move to 4.0.14. They still fixed some problems with the Sheriff's Badge not applying correctly. They fixed the Black Hole item, which is a legendary that was changing all of Hyperius's loot drops to basically the Black Hole, and also fixed drop rates from Henry. Then in 4.0.15, probably the best change they've added in such a long time, it adds an indicator in response to executing the community patch. Right when you go into the game, you press whatever button you do to get the drop down menu, and when you type in execute patch, then you'll actually get a little line of text that says whatever you're running, whatever the patch number is, in my case 4.0.16, and just check your character skills to make sure everything applied correctly. So once again, really nice change. There were so many questions about this early on. How do I know if the community patch is working? I don't think it's working. Is there any indicator? Before, you just have to go to your skills and see if they changed. And obviously you can still do that to double check, but this is just a nice visual cue so you know for sure. Then in the updated current version that I have, 4.0.16, which is the version I'll link down below, it did fix Hyperius and the black hole loot, so he should be able to drop other things other than the black hole. And then again, just worked on some more hot fixes from Gearbox and kind of put some things together. And just to close out this video, 4.0.16 was just released a few weeks ago, so this is pretty updated and all we know. I'll link to the full changelog from Mental Mars down below, and all the other links if you want to change your own hex editor, ShadowEvil's original 4.0 video, and my previous community patch character guides. So once again, I'll say this isn't the full changes, but I think all the ones that I mentioned were important and ones that I thought will help the most players. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this style of video, like and share the video. And you guys might even see something like this for the pre-sequel community patch in a week or two. So stick around and see you guys in the next one.